Check in on my supplies. More than plenty of plants, more than plenty of drink. We're probably going to have to start cooking plants at this point just to cut down on their numbers a little bit. Because we could brew plump helmets for like a week and still not quite get there. So I'd have to look, but I'm pretty sure I have my meal job floating right at 300 prepared meals. So this workflow, the new implementation of workflow is working wonderfully. Yeah, no, this civilization is tiny, tiny, like on the verge of extinction, tiny. The only reason I think that the original settlement that the other settlement hadn't been destroyed is it's got to be in the middle of nowhere, and just it's never been encountered basically, and so nobody's run into it. Otherwise, I can't understand how that was the only thing that survived. They went 70 years and not a single one of their settlements survived except that first one. And he's complaining his bedroom isn't quite up to where he wants it, so we'll have to do a little bit of work in the bedroom if these furniture pieces don't bring it up to what he wants. But since we've mostly met the mayor's demands in terms of his apartments, and he doesn't want us to export mail shirts, which I probably wouldn't do normally anyway, so we don't have to worry about that. Well, you could always help the king live forever by simply playing in adventure mode, finding a book that allows you to become a necromancer, reading it yourself to become a necromancer, raising your undead army, pillaging your way backwards across civilization, leaving your zombies outside the town somewhere, walking your undead butt right into your fortress library, and ditching the book in the library before you retire your adventurer and come back. And if you do that, when you come back, it won't take more than a couple of seasons probably before every dwarf in your fortress has read that book and become a necromancer. At which point you can retire the fort because the whole civilization will be necromancers. I mean, if you want a fun thought experiment, I'm not sure how well it would work in the actual practical end of things, but theoretically it would be possible to constantly create an adventurer whose sole purpose was to shuffle the necromancy book from site to site in their entire civilization with the intent that every fortress, every town, every settlement had read the book in fortress mode and thereby become necromancers civilization-wide. It'll work as advertised. Basically, I'm not hypothesizing. It's not an idea. It's a thing you can literally do if you want to try it. I don't know how commonly you would end up with your forts falling after you had made them all necromancers is the problem. It's possible you'd end up losing giant chunks of your civilization as they got crusaded out of existence, for example. Just for the record, it is absolutely a losing idea in Fortress mode. Once you start getting Necromancer conversion en masse, seal the doors until everyone is a Necromancer and retire immediately. Do not open the doors, do not field sieges, do not defend yourself with an army. Don't go outside, don't risk that you'll be exposed to corpses. Make your dwarves vegetarian only. And the reason is because your necromancers will raise the dead if they get into combat, and the undead they raise will be hostile to your entire fort, including the necromancers that raise them. And you don't want that. So let's see. The bottom of our pit is at 17, and they are falling from 8, so that's a 9-floor drop. That's pretty good. 9 floors onto spikes would be just about right, or 9 floors onto weapon traps would be, brilliant. Anything that fell off would be annihilated. If the fall didn't kill you, the weapon traps would slice you into ribbons. So we're going to go with that. We're going to see if we can't make that work. Now, this leg of stone that I've somehow managed to forget and screw up, we're going to fix that really simply. We're going to punch a little hole here in the wall and then cut this off and let it cave in all the way to the bottom. And since there'll be no one around, because I'm going to forbid all the stone along the way, since nobody's going to be down in the pit, it won't hurt anybody. Okay, and our dwarves will come along and dig this little sort of back channel into here, and then I will see if I can't restrict this. I'm hoping they'll be smart enough not to stand on the thing that we're getting ready to cut off, but what are you going to do, right? The cave-in's going to drop something like 6 floors. The dust won't even reach this high. There's nothing underneath this. It's a solid floor all the way down. It won't hurt anything. Well, if we lose a miner, we lose a miner. I'll live. Not gonna lose sleep over him. My ants live only to serve my every whim. They have no other function. Any deceit to the contrary is on their behalf, not mine. Now, if they're smart, they won't stand on the piece that's about to fall into the pit. If they're not smart, they're going to stand right on the thing that's going to fall into the pit. Let's find out. Oh, and while I'm thinking about it, let's forbid all that stuff, because if we don't, somebody will be in the pit when the damn thing lands. Here comes our miner now.
It seems that every other day there's a new
Ooh,
migrant
migrants.
saying, I need to work, I make cheese, or I grind down gems, or I milk things. Well, how many milkers do you think we need here, huh? How many? Do you see anything that can be milked here? Honestly, do you think we want to milk a purring maggot or something? Haha, no, go home.
Gonna have to change how that works. Okay, that should work. I don't care about the pottery so much. I don't really have all much in the way of clay. There we go. Okay, so now we've cut that off. And it has gone cascading into the deep. Ha! And apparently he didn't get away. Or apparently somebody went down in the hole, which was really dumb. That's fantastic. Did he get blown backwards into the hole? That's awesome. Definitely a pick. Thob did not make it. And I'm not sure why why our scholar is at the bottom of the hole here, with all this stuff having been forbidden. You know. Well, maybe I didn't forbid it all? Huh. Oops. My bad. Well, let's see if anybody rescues the doctor. Onward and upward, coffin stuffers. Oh, hey, that means we need a new mine. And why stop at 1? Let's do 3. Okay, so that gets rid of that spur of rock, which would have theoretically saved a goblin's life. And it only cost me 1 miner. I'm good with that. If the pit had been deeper, it wouldn't actually have gotten him. It was close. Another level or 2 and it wouldn't have mattered. But apparently it blew him backwards in to the wall and then forward into the hole, because there was no reason why he should have been out there in the middle of the hole. So that's awesome. He rebounded. Wish I knew why they were down arrowed. Tree felling bonanza. I didn't actually trade with this caravan. I let him go. Not worried about it. I think they left. They did leave, right? Did I misread that? Mishear it? Maybe they didn't leave yet. Nope, they're gone. So, yeah. I'm not sure. Dogs shouldn't be getting tired in the sense that critters do. Or in the sense that dwarves do. And hunger and thirst shouldn't apply. Dogs normally don't eat. You won't see them needing to graze, for example, and I've never seen a thirsty dog. I'm assuming it's some sort of health ailment for the dog, but since animal care really isn't implemented yet, there's not much you can do about it. Someone's coming along to finally put that wall to rights. That's good. Ten glass discs, 30 attacks, 2 safe dodge squares. One of them requires you to go through the trap twice. Oh, who's leaving food around? Somebody bury that asshole. The hell was he doing dying in the tavern for? In a fight and I missed it? No, I'm not seeing it. And apparently our dogs even spar now. Huh. Well then. We're not quite ready for you, so we're going to go indoors now. Okay, good. We did link it. We should have at least one idler. Make sure everybody has the levered job. Somebody should be along momentarily to flip that lever before the giant gets through the front door, at which point the bridge will close and seal off the entrance. Now the giant will wander off a little bit. That's okay. That's perfectly fine. Now we'll open up the other one. And the giant will come back. I don't recall if giants can be trapped, so this could be really bad. We're going to try it. And if they're trap avoid, then we'll send in the military and see how well they can perform. If they're not trap avoid, then we're just going to bury this giant in a wall somewhere and dig them out when we feel like we need them for something. And this ends the saga.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
One dwarf, one cage, one giant. One hell of a lot of weight to carry around. I think so. Don't quote me. If you pop out to the Reddit thread linked below the stream, you should be able to get a link from there to my YouTube channel. I don't have a link for you right off the top of my head here. Here endeth the giant. Forge work continues apace. serrated glass discs make 30 attacks when you step on that first tile. You have two ways to dodge. Dodging backwards means you have to walk through the same discs again if you plan to continue to place your attack. Dodging forward means you take another 30 attacks and then have to dodge all of those. And if you dodge incorrectly, you'll dodge back into the first trap again. And once we get a third one up, so I mean, I want to say, and even if you dodge, you have, what, a 2 in 8 chance? You know, you've got 8 squares around here, theoretically, you could dodge. 25% chance to dodge someplace that doesn't immediately drop you in a hole. And if you dodge to the wrong one, you're going to get to do it again. And now we'll put up a couple over here as well. So we'll have 3 on the way in and 3 on the way out. And then what will happen is once you get knocked in the hole, if you survive, you have to come back up. And even if you're trying to retreat, it's going to have a chance to knock you back in the hole again. And that will get us the second phase of the kill room. And then we'll be ready to work on the third and final phase, the siege engines. And we'll set up firing paths that will run vertically down these lines. Here we'll have siege engines at points that will basically fire down these lines. And this will become a catch pocket for the bolts as they go past. So anything that misses will go through a line of fortifications, hit a wall, drop down a couple floors, and be collectible right there by our guys. Oh, do we need a traction bench? Well, we can make one of those. That'll probably use up our... he'll probably decide he wants to use the golden chain for it, though, of course. Well, I made the gold chains for the wells we haven't built yet. I've been kind of monitoring. I mean, right here, this is a vulnerability in my fort. I'm kind of waiting on these guys to do it. I don't know why they keep suspending this job. This item that's sitting here isn't tasked. They could pick it up and toss it aside, and nobody will care. The only thing I can think of is the item was literally being used for the thing that was being suspended, and for whatever reason, they're confused. There's literally no reason they would not build that. So, I think that's the last hole out of the kill pit into our fort at this point. Once the weapon traps are built, we'll punch this hole through here, and then we'll finally leave that open. We can start expanding the traps from there. I just canceled the job and redid it with blocks instead of raw stone. It doesn't matter what we make the wall out of anyway. Would somebody bury that guy sitting in the middle of our... Huh. Is that one of ours? I'm not sure he was one of ours. I think that was a kobold who came to visit. Because I don't think that was actually one of our guys. Somebody must not have settled their bar tab, I guess. Because I'm pretty sure I have plenty of spare coffins here. Yeah, I mean, this is set for burial and citizens, and I have plenty of idlers. Let me make sure that there's plenty of people with the burial tab. Now, if somebody comes along all of a sudden, snags the corpse and hauls it away for burial, then we'll know it's one of ours that somebody just was too busy to bury. But if they don't come running and snag the corpse, then it's not one of ours. So far, no grab. Oh, nope, nope. Walk right past it. So yeah, the adult peafowl, basically, we're constantly slaughtering them. That's meat and leather on a revolving cycle once a year. Depending on how, well, I say once a year. It depends on how often they lay eggs, so theoretically it could be seasonal. And here's our crossbow dwarves firing target practice. And you can see these bolts that fall into the channels on either side. Those don't break. They are always recoverable. So that's the reason why we have this sort of channeled path. Is because anything that misses and hits the wall and drops, or misses short and drops, will be recoverable. We could go down one floor and mark all that stuff for reclaim because it's forbidden. I have all my spent bolts being forbidden. We can just go in here and mark all this stuff for reclaim, and they'll pick it up and reuse it. They'll scoop it up and take it off to the ammo stockpile, and that'll be that. So periodically you just unforbid the ammo in the channel, and somebody will come along, collect it all, carry it off. One bolt at a time, usually, unfortunately, so there'll be a lot of carrying jobs, but that's okay. If you do this with metal bolts, you can actually use it, unless it's been changed, to kind of scam yourself some extra metal, melting your bolts down one bolt at a time. Once the bolts have been split by your novice marksman who couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, firing them into the hole constantly, then you come back and scoop up the single bolts, mark them all individually for melt, and mark one furnace to do it. And the partial bolts basically round up a little faster. I don't know if it's been fixed yet, but I'd have to look. The answer to the one space behind is, I don't know. Why not? I don't think you can miss long, but maybe you can. Let's see if the... Because, see, I'm not sure you're going to find... See, there's no... It doesn't actually enter the space with the archery target. The archery target is like a wall. So there's none that are co-occupying the space with the target. You see what I'm saying? They all hit the target from the front and drop in front. So these on the sides are literally those that were aimed left or aimed right. There's no long or short in that sense. Now they can hit short and land in front, but if they aim long, what basically will happen is it'll slam into the target, and that's just like a hit. They'll get credit for it. I suspect if you dig a space behind here, what you'll really see is this guy over here firing wildly occasionally slips one through and hits behind the other one, not that it fires through on the same lane. But try it out. Report back. Tell me if you find better results. Realistically, with wooden bolts, I'm not sure I'm worried about it that much. And if I was going to use the melt trick, I'd already be started on it. I'd have been making metal bolts, and I haven't been. I'm not planning to do that. So I have unforbid that. We have plenty of spare corpse coffins. This guy is not one of ours. He's a dumper. Now, that's not exactly foreboding or anything. "20 hours? I was debating whether I might not go further than the 24. I've still got 4 hours to go. Maybe I'll get tired here in a couple hours and decide I'm ready to pass out, but so far so good. I got to get a couple more weapon traps up, and then get the siege engines up on the entrance. We've got to finish the obsidian caster, and I'd like to get a tower up. I don't know if we'll be able to get it all. I'm going to try. Okay, now as soon as those are built, then I can go upstairs and build the gear assembly that connects over this way. Once that's built, I should be able to hang the screw pump off of it, I believe. Bees are still on the list, but I gotta get the tower up first because I don't want them on ground level. Hives in the open are obviously a target for building destroyers that will come to visit. That's not really a safe place to keep them. Additionally, they'd be outside the trap line, which means that your beekeepers are at grave risk every time they're doing just mundane routine stuff, not just when they're first harvesting the bees from the wild, but also when they're just performing their day-to-day tasks. And I like minimizing the subset of my population which is going to be most at risk due to sieges and invasions. Okay, so now you can see down below there is a gear assembly, and so what we'll do is we'll build a gear assembly atop that. We'll run a horizontal axle that will go all the way down, and then we'll run another gear assembly here and hang a screw pump. And I'm hoping like hell I didn't do this. I did this one backwards, that's the problem. No, that's the right way round. So it just must need the hookup. Womp womp womp. The doc didn't make it. To the box with her.
No, I can't do it.
We will allow it. Done. No, we haven't had a fight, and we know there were goblins. We looked it up. So disappointed. Maybe we'll still get lucky, but yikes, this is the second year in a row we've come out, and I've embarked in a savage area. We found goblins as I embarked as a tiny little civilization who should have been invaded by every major power under the sun. And seriously, we did everything except send out flyers begging people to launch holy crusades on us. I guess they're just scared of our balls. Suspend that for a reason, maybe, because I'm not getting it. Are our carpenters too busy to respond? This is the bard who joined us. Well, we ran out of scry, or scholars, so we need to appoint a new scholar, don't we? Maybe even 2 or 3. Let's see who has appropriate for that. That's something we need to take care of. Isn't Mebzuth dead? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, different Mebzuth. Oh, the doc is still with us. It was some other schmuck. Oh, never mind then.